Now please welcome Ken Patterson, Results' Director of Grassroots Impact.
Hey, welcome everybody. So glad to be with you here today. We get to share with you today that, how the powerful results advocacy model shows up on Capitol Hill, and we have a great program outlined for you today. I'm going to start by saying that I am regularly reminded that we are very unique in how we train and prepare and support our volunteer advocates across the country to create change on issues of poverty. So a couple of weeks ago, we had Brad Fitch, the president and CEO of the Congressional Management Foundation, join our national webinar in July. He presented research on what works when you're trying to influence members of Congress and their staff, what actually brings them around to making decisions on an issue. And has been the case for the nearly 2 decades that I've been working with results, we're doing the right things. We're doing what works. Some of those things include, training advocates to have a deep understanding of the issues. We do that. Training and coaching advocates to be polite, respectful, and organized. We do that. Training and coaching them to create powerful meetings with members of Congress and staff that include a lead facilitator, sharing personal stories related to the issues, making connections back to the state and district, providing credible information and a specific request. We do all of that. But there are other practices that we know are really important to being change makers that Brad didn't talk about that also make us very unique. For example, a focus on building relationships with members of Congress and staff, including back and forth dialogue and regularly sharing new information with them. Unwavering persistence, and this is really important, never, ever, ever going away. Understanding that advocacy is not a solo sport and requires working with others. Community engagement, inspiring others about the difference that they can make as well. And then coordinating our efforts across the country, knowing that if I focus on my representative and senators, that others across the country are going to be doing the same thing on the very same issues. We bring these practices to our advocates by providing a supportive on-ramp into the organization, regular opportunities to learn and try things for the first time, a solid group structure, mentorship, celebration, and a monthly community gathering on our national webinars, among other things. Most people don't imagine themselves talking to the leaders of our country, changing policies affecting millions of people, moving millions and sometimes billions of dollars towards the issues that they care about. Our support structure helps people take off the blinders of impossibility to see what's really possible and to do these things. And the Results Fellowship, which we're going to focus on today, is the most intensive advocacy training experience we have. It's designed to bring in a set of diverse and younger advocates into Results every year. Many of the fellows go on to lead Results groups and regions and take on other leadership roles within their groups in the organization. Many use their powerful fellowship training and experience to do great things in the outside world of Results. And with 10 years under our belt now this year, we've learned a lot and we've done a lot. Before I turn this over to Yolanda Gordon, who manages the Results Fellowship Program, I want to thank the many people who support Results through their donations. I know some of you are on the webinar today, and I thank you for that. You help make everything possible that you're going to see on this webinar today. So thank you very, very much for that. And a reminder, if you have questions, you can put them in the chat at any point, and our presenters will try to answer them during the second half of this webinar. I'm going to now hand this over to Yolanda Gordon. She is the Senior Manager of the Fellowship Program and Advocacy. Yolanda joins us from Fort Mill, South Carolina. She personally understands the financial challenges that families and parents can face, and that's really inspired Yolanda to take on advocacy around poverty issues and to train our Results Fellows to become powerful advocates and leaders for the end of poverty. Her work has helped recruit the next generation of advocates into Results. Yolanda has experience and skills in anti-oppression, intersectionality, and effective anti-poverty programming. Last year, Yolanda received an award from the Congressional Hunger Center for championing the inclusion of people with lived experiences of poverty in U.S. nutrition advocacy. She's a trained Moth storyteller a TEDx speaker, and served us in the US military. And I hand this over to you, Yolanda. Excited to hear what you have to say today.
Thank you, Ken. In 2014, Results Real Change Organizing and Advocacy Fellowship was born. And at that time, I was 2 years deep into volunteering with Results. I loved working alongside fellows and hearing their perspective on the world. Their insights, their enthusiasm reinvigorated me, giving me the drive to push forward. Fast forward to 2019, I was given the incredible opportunity to lead the fellowship. With that growth came the need for change. And that with the support of my fantastic colleagues, we rebranded the fellowship program to the Results Organizing and Advocacy Fellowship. This change was more than a name. It was breaking down barriers and making the fellowship even more inclusive. Over the past 3 years, our program has evolved, welcoming individuals from diverse backgrounds with varying abilities by meeting people where they are in life. Fellows spend 3 to 6 hours per week participating in fellowship webinars with their local groups and with other training opportunities provided by our organization. Our aim is to provide fellows with an understanding of public policy, including the historical context that shapes our current landscape. We also focus on equipping them with the practical skills to effectively combat poverty. Additionally, the fellowship demystifies the process of meeting members of Congress, and it demonstrates how accessible they are. Each fellow commits 11 months to engage in meetings, learning and traveling to DC in the spring, where they connect with members of Congress and their staff. Each fellow joins the Results movement with a personal why, driven by concerns such as maternal and child health, tax credits for low-income families, and affordable housing and nutrition programs. Fellows are in different phases in their lives, and the program ensures that fellows have the access to the Results model that they need. Honestly, I have the best job at Results. I get to work with emerging leaders and cheer them on from the sidelines. Their passion and dedication continue to inspire me, even during the toughest times. Many of our alumni are leaders in many parts of our network. In May, 33 fellows and 6 alumni from 33 states and Washington, D.C. attended our yearly fellowship conference. Today, you'll hear from 3 remarkable emerging leaders who embody greatness, passion, and exceptional leadership. I will now hand this over to Aaron Carrillo.
Good morning and good afternoon for those on our eastern sides. My name is Aaron Carrillo. I am a grassroots board member, a regional coordinator, an alum of the Experts on Poverty cohort, but more importantly for today, I'm a Results Fellow alum from 2018. I, in my stage of life, am also covering healthcare and health accessibility here in my hometown of El Paso, Texas, and get to actually work at the hospital I was born at.
That's me. Hey, I'm Kristen Claudy. Good afternoon, morning, whatever it is for you. And I'm a Results Fellow for 2024 and a newer volunteer with Results Fort Worth. I'm a native of Fort Worth. I lived outside of there during college and grad school and moved back home. So it's a place I love. I'm a mom of 2 and a Lutheran pastor and a hospice chaplain. And I found Results through another advocacy group in Fort Worth for kind of young professionals and applied for the fellowship so I could learn some practical skills for advocacy. Because I know it's always been important to me as a minister, as a human, but I didn't really have the practical skills. And so that's why I joined.
Hi, everyone. My name is Marshall Mitchell. I'm also a 2024 results fellow. Yeah, just where I am currently in life. I recently graduated from the University of Chicago with my master's in social work policy and practice. And I am working with communities and schools of Chicago, just connecting K through 12 programming to some of our Chicago public schools. Yeah, and I really just got into results just to try to break into a career in policy. Like these are issues that I care very deeply about. And my time in grad school has only like strengthened that passion for it. And similar to what Kristen said, just like really wanting to practice a lot of those practical skills and learning policy and also just like learning how to advocate for them and bring them to our representatives and senators in Congress. Um, but yeah, with that now, we will have a video to share with you, and we will go ahead and get this started.
And while Leslie's getting that video up, things that we wanted to highlight included this video is going to give you kind of a small peek into what the Results Fellowship Conference looks like. We will also be able to show the importance of the relationship building. And one of the biggest things is that as you watch these videos, you'll see that each of these fellows have this sense of excitement, this sense of unity. And really the biggest thing to me is the growing confidence in what they're doing and while they're doing it.
We just spent the first day preparing for their lobby meeting, that they got those requests out if they hadn't gotten them already, and trying to set the agenda so that they could have really powerful and effective meetings. The fellows are amazing in so many ways, just carrying their personal stories, why they care about this, their different backgrounds. It really is encouraging to see that the future leaders care about these issues and to know that we have the honor and opportunity to have a small thumbprint on what they will go on to accomplish. Yesterday, we had a whole day of talking about each issue and really digging into the statistics and why it's important, and even practicing what we wanted to talk about and how we were going to do that and who might be best suited to do that.
So here you're going to see video photos of just the fellows getting to know each other. And this is a super exciting time because we as individuals across the United States, we have been talking to each other for months and have been getting to meet via Zoom. And yet this is our first time getting to meet in person. And we have one pure goal and one thing that drove us to coming to DC, some of us for the first time. It's really the value of also getting to meet staff and the staff support that's really brought us forward, and how that ties.
The energy
biggest
level
thing
of
being the
fellows
confidence
on
that we
lobby day
built.
really does vary. Some are super excited, some are super anxious, some are just ready to get the experience out of the way. And I always try to emphasize that the first one might be the hardest, but you're going to get better each and every time. So it's really motivating to see them push through that and the energizing feeling that they have on the other side of it after accomplishing that.
Okay, this was kind of our first stop of the day, walking up on Capitol Hill. And I will tell you, it was very surreal for me, and I think for a lot of us. I had been to DC before, but never to Capitol Hill. I don't even think I knew exactly what it was. But it's several buildings. It's an enormous space. There's all kinds of different offices, and we'll talk a little bit about that, each one of us, I think. But it was very exciting and surreal.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Marshall.
Yeah, no, I was just going to just like reemphasize that too. I remember on the first day of the fellowship, I just kind of walked around Capitol Hill a little bit just to like get familiar with the space. And I just remember being just awestruck with the Capitol building because I think that like you see it
We
in
are here at the Capitol Hill to lobby Congress.
um And yeah, just being there in person, it's just a much more massive building than you would realize. So yeah, just like that power, like Kristen was saying, of being there and like the impact that you know that you're about to bring is yeah, really humbling.
This so they can vote for CTC and global poverty and also SNAP. I'm really happy to be part of this organization and part of this initiative because I'm just like seeing like should the laws be passed, it's just going to make such a big impact to the families and the people that are going to benefit from it. So it just means so much to me. I'm just wishing like a lot of Americans can partake in this and just like be part of change makers. I'm a little bit nervous, but I know it's going to go good. I've been reading throughout the whole time that I've been here, so I'm just hoping I can recall the things correctly. So yeah, but I'll be fine.
I'm really excited. I feel a lot of energy to go out and speak about these issues. I think that we really have a chance to get in front of members of Congress and their staff and reiterate the importance of doing things that will affect, in many cases, life and death for everyday Americans and for people across the world. So these are really important issues, and being able to bring that right to the forefront of people's minds, I think is super empowering, and I'm really excited to get that feeling and yeah, get into these meetings.
Well, I'm feeling a little bit anxious, nervous. It's nothing excessive. I'm just hoping that I'm able to say everything I need to say and that I can be persuasive enough to where they'll want to continue a relationship with results. So, excited.
Yeah, I'm feeling pretty good about meetings. I'm excited to start building relationships with these offices and yeah, telling them what matters to their constituents and to results, and I'm really excited.
Yeah, so from like those last couple of videos and these clips and photos that we have coming up, we're starting to just separate into our different meetings because they all are happening at like different times at different congressional buildings. And I'm not sure if this was the same for other people, but it also kind of helped to like walk off some of that anxiety like right before the meetings as well. So yeah, just from that last clip, you saw that we were walking to the Rayburn building. That was like the House building. And there's also the Hart building as well. And something I found interesting was that like majority of the congressional offices were in either these two buildings. I believe there's a couple other Senate and House buildings, and only like the congressional leadership buildings or offices were in the Capitol. So yeah, lots of walking. I think I did something like 20,000 steps that day. It was yeah, a little bit of a workout, I will say, for that day. But yeah, here you see me and my two colleagues from Chicago heading to our first meeting. This is Precious on the left and then Natalie on the right. And yeah, I feel like our team is really good at like meshing well together and like helping each other to support each other.
For me,
Oh yeah, so yeah, I think that like a lot of like the success that comes from meetings is your ability to like work with others in a team, like was mentioned before. And so this was like the first time that each of us has led a meeting. And so having that time to practice with each other, but beforehand, during our meeting, we were able to like bounce a lot of ideas off of each other. And so that really helped to just like let the conversation flow because you realize that that's really what these audit meetings are. They're just conversations with the staff and with their colleagues.
Presented itself as an opportunity to kind of gain more experience in advocacy work. For me, advocacy is a way to bring about like a lot of the change to the issues that I care deeply about. It just provides me with like those skills to just like work on practically talking to like our representatives, our senators, and really providing some hope in that too.
You prepared a lot.
Yeah.
First meetings for everyone?
Yes. Yeah. Oh, yeah, and here you just saw us walking into Jan Schakowsky's office. That was Precious's U.S. Representative. And the first thing we noticed was just like all of the decor in the room. You see, like there was a lot of decor around like her travels and everything. But something that like was really just impactful was just our ability to connect with the staff person that we were meeting with. A big part of advocacy is just relationship building, honestly. And it was really reassuring to see one, just like how close in age we all were to the staff person. Yeah, you see us like during our meeting here. And we were really just able to connect on things like school, for example. She mentioned that she was a recent graduate. I think the three of us, we were all like either currently in school or recently graduated too. So just like being able to bond over that and connect over that, like really helped to kind of tear down some of those walls and like ease some of that anxiety around it as well. But yeah, in our meeting with this office, we really just asked for them to sign on to the Gavi agreement to add $340 million towards the Gavi initiative, as well as some appropriations for TB as well. Oh, and something else to note too, we also went over to the Senate building too, where we made similar asks, but I found it just really interesting how different the two buildings were. Like, for example, the House building seemed a lot more, I don't know, I guess not necessarily homey in a way, but
we just met with Alexandra. She's an aide for Representative Jan Schakowsky in District 9 in Illinois. We did a lot of preparation for this meeting. I would say we had many practice sessions. We did some role play. We reviewed all of our asks, and I like to do some background research on who we're meeting with as well. So a lot of research and a lot of practice. I think it went really well. I like to prepare for the worst and hope for the best, and she was very open to all of our asks and seems to share a lot of the same passions that we do. So it went really well.
This is actually my first meeting, and it was amazing, really informational.
My first lobbying meeting went really well. I feel like it in some regards, it was how I expected it to be, and like our ask for it, and like what we wanted to get out of it. But also, just like kind of seeing and learning more about the representatives' thoughts and passions on other issues too was really good to hear. It also just like personalized them a little bit more than just these, these intimidating elected officials. I'm looking forward to, I think, learning more about our senators personally, like we did for Representative Schakowsky. Yeah, just like having an opportunity to like really start to build up that relationship with them. Yeah, I feel like the relationship part is extremely important to really building up a rapport with them and getting some of our issues tackled.
We are heading next to a meeting with Tammy Duckworth's healthcare team, Senator Tammy Duckworth's healthcare team. We're going to the Hart building, so it should be a little bit of a walk, but we have some time.
So up on the screen, you see Jacoby from Tulsa, Oklahoma. And one of the things you'll notice is that he seems to be one of the only fellows in the room. And you can see the picture there. He was actually able to really utilize the accessibility of hybrid meetings. So following the pandemic, utilizing Zoom or Teams to get into meetings with our members of Congress have allowed fellows who may be the only one from their state or their city or their area to go into meetings, but have the support of other volunteers And Jacoby was like one of the most confident fellows that I met during the conference, where he felt like he had a good grasp on the topics, he had a game plan, and the idea that he had his team and the other results volunteers with him along the way made it that much better. Now, there was also pictures of staff that you saw that were also with him to see if he needed any further support. But my understanding is Jacoby did amazing, as did all of our fellows.
So here you see Kavina, and we got a blurb from Kavina about why she joined Results. And she says, I joined Results Fellowship to connect with like-minded activists who are passionate about advocacy. She said, I wanted to learn from my peers and the team at Results on how to organize, fight poverty using policy, and put those lessons into practice. She says, my time in the fellowship has been great and valuable so far, and I'm excited for the rest of the year. I think we're going to hear from her in just a moment.
I just had an impromptu meeting with Mafume's office, which is he's a representative of my congressional district in Baltimore, and so that was really cool that I got to meet with one of their legislative aides. And we got to talk about the Farm Bill, and it was really reassuring to know that we were on the same page, but I could still give them new information and new reasons as to why we need to support SNAP and strengthen it rather than find ways to break it down. This is my first time doing lobby meetings, and yeah, it's my first ever Hill Day, and it's really cool and empowering to talk to representative electives. Yeah, tried to learn about these issues more as like a story because it impacts, you know, Americans and people that are very near and dear to my heart. I spent a lot of my time working with people that are unhoused and people that rely on assistance, and it's not because people want to. A lot of my friends rely on SNAP. SNAP gives them a lot of assistance, and because of that, they're able to succeed in school and succeed in their career because they have that assistance. And yeah, it impacts so many people, and a lot of people have like a misconceived notion, or there's a negative connotation behind it. And so like I feel honored that I get to come and advocate on behalf of people.
So here's some more photos from different meetings. You can see outside the offices, some folks had displays for different reasons. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this one is related to Israel and Palestine. And here's some advocates outside of one of the offices, looks like North Carolina. And I just wanted to share that, you know, during our meetings, we learned that we can not only share stories and connect based on our values, but we can also be a resource for the representatives and their staffers. For instance, in my meeting with Representative Kay Granger, the staffer had a lot of really good and engaging questions about how exactly the money for Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, would be used. So we were able to go pull some helpful information for that staffer and provide that to him via email afterward. So we can be a resource in that way too. Most importantly, we were able to put a face to the policies that they are influencing and that they're making. Many of our Results Fellows had personal stories of growing up in poverty, and this was really impactful to me personally, and I know to the representatives and their staffers as well. And it was really awesome to walk into you know, Representative Granger's office, for instance, and see a picture of the Fort Worth courthouse on the wall and know that we have shared interests, shared memories, and shared identity, you know, in that way. And I know that our stories impacted them, you know, because we had a lot that we had to share. At the same time, an interesting thing that happened to me is that one of the staffers for Representative Granger's office had never even been to Fort Worth, which I thought was fascinating since she's the representative for that area. I don't think that's common, but it was really neat to, you know, again, be a face for who, the policies that they're making and the people that they're representing. Sometimes, there's stereotypes, of course, of, for instance, people from Fort Worth or Texas, and it's neat to put a face to that and share our stories. So that was really cool for me.
Great. And I'll just on this North Carolina photo, and there's a couple of photos here of this meeting, I think is with Senator Tom Tillis's office. And, from left to right there, you've got Emily Bird, Liz Brown, me, and then Corinne Johnson was the other person on the far right. Liz and Corinne are both current fellows, and then Emily is a fellow alum who supported Liz, which was invaluable since we couldn't all be in all of the meetings at the same time. We had 5 meetings that day, and we had to split up because of conflicting times. And I'll just say, it was really noticeable that the virtual congressional meetings that we'd held earlier in the year had really prepared Liz and Corinne to be on the Hill in person. They were both nervous, but they already knew what a good meeting looked like, which gave them a lot of confidence for our in-person meetings on the Hill. At the end of the day, we reconnected for a meeting with Representative Jeff Jackson's office, that's Corinne's rep. And this was the first congressional meeting that Corinne had ever facilitated. And I just want to note that she is uber reserved. And it was a huge stretch and an accomplishment for her. She was visibly nervous in leading it all, but she knew she had the team there to support her in doing it. And then, after the meeting, she was energized and smiling, excited. She was really proud. And, now she knows that she can do this again. It was a huge breakthrough moment for her, and really just a great day for all of us. That's Corinne right there on the right. There's a smile.
All right, so this is kind of our home base. We let all the fellows know that the lunchroom is always a great place to, one, re-energize. It is a long day. Some of our fellows have upwards of 5 to 7 meetings. Some of them have 2 to 3, and yet the distance that are taken is what is really, this is the landing spot. This is the area that we are able to debrief, ask questions, and really prep for our next meeting. This is also a place that staff is willing to meet with us and go over what we're talking about. Great place for us to finish our lobby reports, but just a place to decompress and be in a community. This is a community that you just got to meet in person one day before, and yet at this point, you had the shared experience of getting your first meetings out of the way. One of the nice things as well is for our El Paso group, we had a fellow who was in El Paso and was getting ready for a meeting that we were really excited about with our Congresswoman Veronica Escobar. And she pretty much signs on everything we already do, so we were really excited. But there was another fellow there that had been having some rough meetings. Her name's Tia. And we just so happened to have the same slot open that we had scheduled for. And Tia decided to join us. And in that time, she got to see our Congresswoman, who doesn't really match what Texas is really stereotyped as, who left a meeting with the housing authority to meet with our group and just say how important what we do and how important what is being done by results is. And she wanted to ensure that she got just a couple minutes with us. And obviously one of the bells went off, and we'll talk about that further, but just having that experience where we were able to invite another fellow to experience a meeting and see what it can look like in the varying ways, that was really exciting and something that wouldn't have happened had we not stopped to just grab a quick bite to eat.
So informative and so empowering. I would have never imagined doing something like this, coming to DC and meeting with my representatives. So I met with the defense fellow for Representative Granger, and I've lived in Fort Worth almost my whole life, and I've known about Granger, but not much about her. So it's been neat to learn about her and what she supports or doesn't support, and then to be able to actually, meet with someone who could influence her policy work is
really, really interesting. But the meeting itself went well with Representative Granger. He was really engaged and excited about what we were doing. He had questions about results as an organization as well. And it was really positive. And we actually had a few constituents from the Fort Worth Results chapter who were on the phone. I have 2 more meetings today with my senators from Texas. I'm not anticipating that they'll be quite as much in agreement with me as Granger's office was. So I'm a little nervous about that, but I do feel ready.
All right, so this is another one of our fellows and one of her lobby meetings. This is Antoinette. And yeah, we asked Antoinette just like why she got involved with the results. And she mentioned that like she joined to really impact the world on a larger scale, to learn like a lot of those new skills to affect change and advocate to end poverty. Yeah, and just having the opportunity to meet leaders and experts in their field as it relates to these health issues and policy issues, or excuse me, poverty issues. Yeah, she really just aspires to be a leader in global development. Something that she mentioned is that she really cares about issues around like malnutrition, climate change, economic opportunities, and ensuring that populations in all parts of the world are not left behind. And so she wants to put the skills that she learns from this fellowship into practice, and being able to transform and shape the world with these initiatives.
And I don't know if it was this meeting, Marshall, but I believe Antoinette had some kind of impromptu meeting as well. So even if you have trouble scheduling a meeting, sometimes you can have an impromptu meeting, even if it's brief or whatnot. So I wasn't really aware of that until. Mhm.
Yes. And it's amazing what fellows, as they get their feet under them, they get through their first meetings, stopping by offices, dropping off folders, that can lead to a meeting, an impromptu one, just like Antoinette had done. But here's another one of our fellows. So this is Edith. And Edith is also a fellow from 2024. She has her master's in public affairs, and she is also a case manager and a supportive counselor. But this was her way of also being able to speak on policies and see the political change that a voice can truly make. Of note, it should also be shared that Edith is going to speak in her segment, but she's interrupted by a bell. And this bell was an interruption for all of us on lobby day. This included us, maybe having an in-person meeting, but those bells pretty much just let us know our members of Congress need to go and cast a vote. And for Edith, that meant 3 bells back to back as she's trying to say what she's saying, but she does get through it. So let's go ahead and play the video.
One thing
it went just so wonderful, and I think it was a success completely. Like we have time to cover all the agenda, not just that, but going facts, going specifics, and personal narrations and everything. So it was just amazing. I think the most important was having a preparation couple days, so that really take a lot of the nerves and all of the stress. I personally love interviews, and but like one-on-one, old-fashioned. I think that makes difference to me. I like to see the people in the face and get that connection, and that I think is the difference that I make me relax and all that. Other than that, I have very amazing STAR meeting with the Senate. Senator Capitol, the chief of staff was very kind, very sweet, and it was so easy just to connect as a human and as a professional and in different areas. So I think that set out the success for the rest of the meeting. So it has been amazing. I have no trouble so far, and the good news is like I feel expert. I never thought I was. Well, this is my third of the day, and it has been my experience with Result Fellowship has been amazing. I highly recommend if anyone, I don't know if somebody is seeing this, just do it. So there's important things.
Thank you, Marshall and Kristen and Aaron. We loved hearing from you. We have a couple of questions that folks submitted ahead of time. And if you have more questions for our panelists, please feel free to put them into the Q&A. Our first question is from someone named Leslie, but actually someone named Leslie, it's Dr. Leslie Heilig. She asked, if this was your first lobbying experience, how did it make you feel? And what might you do differently next time?
Yeah, I think for me, this was my first one, and I definitely felt just nervous, anxious, at least like beforehand, like before that very first meeting. Yeah, I think that I was worried that maybe I would like forget the asks. I remember there was a subcommittee with like a long name, and of course I'm forgetting it now, but like I spent a lot of time just trying to memorize that subcommittee name, like in our asks and things. So yeah, just like a lot of things that I was kind of iffy on and worried about. But yeah, in terms of things that I would do differently next time, I think the one thing that my colleague Natalie pointed out was that she like researched and looked into like the background of the person that we were meeting with, and that's something that I just like did not think to do. Like I did it for the senators and representatives, but yeah, I was just so focused on like the policy asks and everything that I forgot to do that, because it does like really help to form more of that relationship, makes helps the conversation to go a little bit better. So that's definitely something that I plan on doing more in the future.
Mhm. Thanks, Marshall. I've done like one. I've met with a representative once before when I lived in Chicago, and I didn't even think of it as lobbying. And I think lobbying, sometimes can seem like a dirty word or something. And I didn't know truly that there were organizations like Results that were lobbying for causes as important, and as impactful as these that impact people who, are not in it for profits and whatnot. So like I said, years ago, I maybe met with a person once, but yeah, it was not organized. I don't know. I didn't even think of it as lobbying, but now, this is the first time I've done it in an organized, really intentional way. And I really feel like I'm learning skills that I'm going to use again and again, whether it's meeting with folks in Fort Worth or whether I go to DC again, I don't know. But it makes, like I said in the recorded video, it was extremely empowering and informational. So I feel very empowered. And as far as something I might do different next time, I hope I'll just be less nervous next time in general. And maybe ask more about the staffer, like who they are, and get to know them a little better, just to focus on that personal connection.
Thank you for that. We have another question submitted from our friend Caroline, and she asks, how can youth balance advocacy and daily living?
So our program is designed to complement our emerging leaders advocacy journey. So it's not intended to take over the fellow's entire life. It is really designed to show them how they can volunteer and still do their day-to-day. One of the biggest things with the program, I encourage all fellows to communicate with me. I can design the program for them specifically to meet their needs. I can specialize the program in terms of their time commitment, if it changes, and really on their ability level. So if they're neurodivergent and they need more assistance, I designed the program for them to make sure that they have that specialized assistance that they need. I really feel confident that I give them one-on-one attention, and I want to make sure that they know I'm going to meet them where they are. And if they can't make it to every one of the meetings, or if their times change, their schedule changes, they decide to go back to school, we come up with a plan to make sure that they can get the content and still participate in the program and participate in the results model. What I also made sure with the redesign of the program is that this is really what it's like as a volunteer, no matter what you're doing. So it shows them that you may get a request to write a letter to the editor, but your schedule's already full that day. Showing them how they can take writing a letter to the editor, writing a sentence at a time if they have to. Those quiet times that they're just sitting somewhere waiting on their kid to come out to the car, jot it down on a receipt. So I really try to give them real world examples, real world ideas to help them see what it's like to continue to be a volunteer even when you're not in the fellowship. It is really the intention to show any volunteer that no matter what level you are in your life, if you're a single mom, if you're a college student, if you're a young professional, you still can find time to participate in something. And again, life changes. I adapt it so that our fellows know that I'm here, I can help them, and I can do what I have to do to make sure that they get what they need. And I wanted to redesign the program to make sure that fellows knew they had the support from me specifically to get what they needed.
And I think what's great, Yolanda, is that there's obviously a base level of expectation for what you need to do, but you can also engage, immensely more than that if you want to. And a lot of us do. But I think the question is a good one, because these are really heavy issues and we all want to do everything we can, but there's only so much time in the day. But there's a lot of grace to go around, and I think there's some days and some months we can engage more and then some less, and that's okay.
Yeah, and like another thing to add onto that too is I feel like as you are like going through like the webinars, as you are learning like these skills and things too, for me, it gave me the chance to like gain a lot more like hope and like the issues that I cared about most. Yeah, I remember just feeling like before this fellowship started, that there wasn't much that like I could do about some of the other issues that I care about, but just like in gaining like these techniques, tactics, skills, like knowing how we can participate like beyond voting, but just like being like more like actually involved. It helps to bring the hope for those things. I think that that is a big part of like balancing it in your daily life, because it becomes more a part of your daily life. Like you like maybe read more news stories and newspapers, and you start to think about like, oh, like what are ways that we can reach this elected official, this department head, things like that too. So yeah, even like the yeah, just like the ways that you think about other things that you're experiencing in life is another big part that this fellowship has added.
And I will also say that when I found results in 2012, I was a single mom of 3 school-age kids and working part-time and going to school. And I still found ways to engage and to continue to do the work. And so I really lead with that thought process, is that no matter the hurdle, you can still be a leader, you can still be engaged, be involved, and still find ways to make change beyond voting.
Thank you for this question in the Q&A. I'll read it and you all can decide which of you would like to answer which part. One of our guests asked, what was something that surprised you while being on Capitol Hill? How do you see this fellowship impacting your future choices? And what is your biggest takeaway from being on the Hill?
I'll kind of lean on my experience when I first came to the Capitol Hill and what still surprises me to this day. In 2018, my second flight ever in my life was to DC for this fellowship. So there was a lot of fears. I had never rode a metro before, and that was an experience that I had to get from the airport to the hotel. The amount of times I've heard that DC is just full of people that are very snobbish, not very helpful. They're just on their own time. I didn't, and to this day don't feel like that is any more normal there than anywhere else. I think there's so many people that are willing to just help. And very much Google Maps is your best friend in DC, going to the Hill, finding your ways. Getting lost is very easy to do, and you really have no choice but to ask anybody and everybody there to just give you pointers. Underground tunnels was a thing I didn't know existed there to get between buildings. It's like the quickest way. You're not having to take off your belt. You're not having to go through security. And there's like trolleys and things like that. Those experiences are always a new experience. And that's what's surprising is how helpful people are on the Hill. Results staff being included in that, just a quick text, help, I'm lost. And it's like, name something you see, send a picture. Those are the moments that like made lobby day one of the most amazing days to this point in my life. Just the helpfulness, the fact that some of us can go out there for the first time, some of us are going out for the 100th time, and yet we are all in this shared motion to make political change using our voices, and really coming out of that lobby day and being able to say we actually did that. I think that is one of the things that I take most pride in as being a results alum, fellow alum, and getting to continue to see the next generations and the next years of our cohorts coming forward. And these are the same people that end up staff members in offices. The amount of times that you run into somebody, you're like, oh my gosh, congrats. Hey, we're here. Those moments are the moments that just revitalize you. That's kind of what still surprises me today.
Yeah, I feel similarly, Erin, that it was surprising how accessible the people were. The building is kind of the facade. It's intimidating, and some of the offices are decorated really fancy, but you walk in and they hand you about a bag of Skittles. Or offer you a Dr. Pepper. And it feels like home or whatever. So it was neat that the preparation made me feel capable, and then also just walking in there and doing it, realizing that they really are just humans, and the offices are very accessible. Like we mentioned earlier, many of them are the same age as the fellows, or younger. Yeah, it's just normal folks, and in every instance they thank you for coming, and they're impressed that you came all the way from wherever you came from, and it's a cool environment, not as intimidating as it seems.
Thank you for that all. I think that was as much time as we had questions for. Can I turn it over to Ken to close us out?
Thanks much. Really appreciate it. Erin, Kristen, Marshall, you were fantastic. And Yolanda, thanks for your insights and the great work that you do. What an excellent webinar. So just for those of you who are unfamiliar with Gavi, the Vaccine Alliance, which was mentioned earlier in one of the organizations we were advocating on behalf of at the Hill Day, it's a global non-governmental organization that supports low-income countries to deliver essential vaccines to all children. With US support, Gavi's vaccinated over 1 billion children and saved millions of children's lives. Our recent coalition advocacy for Gavi with Congress and also the administration led to a bold, first of its kind, $1.58 billion US pledge to Gavi at a meeting in Paris in June. The pledge is a challenge to other nations to step up also with bold pledges. And results advocacy was really critical in the success. And the fellowship leadership event that you just heard about allowed us to show up really powerfully and in person at a critical moment for Gavi in DC. And Gavi's goal and our goal is to vaccinate an additional 1 billion children and save 8 million lives over the next 5 years. This is huge, and this is the kind of work we do. I said sometimes I have to pinch myself and say, do we really have a hand in that or not? But we do. So I want to thank you all for being here today. I hope you walk away inspired about our advocacy work, because it really is life-changing, both for the advocates, as you heard today, and those who are on the receiving end of the programs that we advocate for. Again, a special thank you to everyone listening who supported Results work with your generous donations. Your support is so important to our work. And then hopefully you'll hear more about our work later on this year as we work to influence congressional candidates during our election engagement campaign, which runs from August through Election Day. Our goal is to get in front of as many candidates as possible, and to put our US and global poverty issues in front of them and the public during this period when the candidates really do want to hear what we have to say, because they want our vote. So thanks again for being part of our community. I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Take care.